Hi everyone, we're going to take a look at ADA today to see how the price action is currently faring. Now, ADA's been in a strong downtrend for a little bit of time now, at least since the October liquidation event, one of the biggest in crypto history. And now you see the price action has been bleeding downwards, essentially. And now the 4-hour 200 MA is acting obviously as significant resistance. And if the price action, just for context, can get above that, then of course the narrative may shift from bearish to bullish, but that's very dependent on what Bitcoin is doing as well. Now, the stock RSI, or this momentum indicator rather, is entering oversold conditions. But the issue is, if we're looking for a trading opportunity, we don't really have any clear definable areas to do that, to trade right now, because if you notice that this, of course, is very important support, and that we haven't touched there yet. So the most obvious place for a long entry is here at around 0.32. Now, in order for that to, of course, play out, we need to come down a little bit further. But currently, the price action is straddling these two ranges. So this range you'll see here has previously kind of about the price action has bounced off, but it's not particularly clearly defined, because even though this is clear support, the current trading range for the local price action is essentially between around 0.38 and 0.34, making it very difficult for, as an example, to enter a short trade here on the bearish retest of this previous support line, this previous resistance area at around 0.366, because essentially it's in the middle of the range. So really, this is the area at around 0.38. Approaching where the 4-hour 200 MA is, and you can see where all this order block, this order cluster is pretty much exactly where the 200 MA is. That's where you'd want to short the market from, essentially. And we're not there yet. So we need to wait for it to come up, or we need to wait for it to come down to this area to start thinking about a long play. And again, the long area, the next logical place for a long play is going to be around 0.32. But even that area, although quite clearly defined, and you'll see this obviously is acting as resistance previously as well. There is obviously a little bit of a range here as well. So, there's quite a lot of ambiguity at the moment about where the best place to enter ADA is. But the most relevant thing to understand is you've got this range you can trade in. And because there's a bearish bias, it's probably best not to be entering a long trade in the middle of what we might call no man's land, and only enter a long place at clearly defined long-term support. So the next play for that would be 0.32, and until we reach there, everything's going to be about shorts, because ultimately, until we get back above the 200 MA, it's a bearish narrative. You can see it's quite a strong downtrend at the moment, but you want to, of course, be coming in with other sellers. So we can't enter a long trade here, we can't enter a short trade here, we can't even enter a short trade here, because we're straddling this resistance support line, and it's a bit confusing. So you're not going to get the sellers you want to come in with you. Therefore, the most logical place to come in for a short is around 0.38, along with the 200 MA just overhead, and that would essentially mean that you'd put your short position tool like this and look to take profits around there. That would be the idea, and maybe have the stop loss above the 4-hour 200 MA. That would be the general idea, and then you could look for confluence with the stock RSI or this momentum indicator being overbought. And if you get overbought conditions whilst the price action is tapping the 200 MA, or rather this upper range, then of course there's your play. But it's a waiting game at the moment, unfortunately, for ADA. A lot like with a lot of assets in the crypto market, but I won't be long in this until we get to around 0.32, and it's mainly a short kind of setup at the moment for ADA until we see something like a break above the 200 MA, which could give us an indication of bullish continuation. But that's ADA.